Let's talk about the system, the swamp, draining the swamp. Let's talk about all this because we're all going through something here. All of us. I'm going through the exact same thing you're going through. We're all doing the same thing right now. Donald Trump won an election in November. We're excited about that. Happy. Couldn't afford all that. Yeah. But we didn't want Trump to be there just to be there, right? You have things you want him to do. I have things I want him to do. And one of the things that's central to most of us on the right is exposing and stopping the terrible corruption inside of Washington, D.C. Obviously, that draining the swamp is what most people call it. We've called it that here, but the system, the criminal enterprise, whatever it is. So let's discuss that, what's happening, what's not happening, reality versus what we wish. Let's talk about it. First, let's think about a knot. I'm talking about the worst knot you've ever had to confront. You thinking about it? Maybe it was a bunch of wires or one wire, shoestrings, cords, something. At some point, you're like, maybe fishing. If you're fishing, you've encountered it. At some point, you've encountered a knot that is a disaster. Now, why is it a disaster? Time. Over a long enough period of time, this mixing with this and that and this, that, the knot just got worse and worse and tighter and tighter and tighter over time. The longer it was festering, the worse it got. Now, how do you untie it? With time. That's the truth. Draining the swamp is going to take a lot of time because creating the swamp took a lot of time. We didn't get to this place of corruption as a country 5 years ago. You know, it didn't start under Joe Biden, although he may have made it all worse. It didn't even start under Barack Obama. Decades and decades of neglect by us, the public, and evil deeds by people in Washington, D.C. has created this knot that may seem impossible at times. Well, I don't believe it is impossible. I will tell you this, just right between the eyes. It's going to take time. And it's going to take a lot of effort, focused, ongoing effort. We're not going to be able to look at it and just solve it with one election. That's not how it works. For instance, let's talk about the Epstein stuff, because that's probably a priority one for a lot of people. Jeffrey Epstein, as you already know, billionaire, financier, famously was involved with underage sex trafficking, just the grossest stuff you can possibly imagine. And he wasn't doing it alone. He was friends, partners with a lot of the wealthiest, most powerful people on the planet. We don't know who exactly did what, but we know for a fact that, for instance, he was signed, it's public record, he was signed into Bill Clinton's White House multiple times. Jeffrey Epstein famously had, I guess, a painting of Bill Clinton, a really weird one. He's in a blue dress. It's odd. Jeffrey Epstein was friends with Bill Gates. We know his wife gave an interview where she blamed their friendship as part of the reason she divorced him. Very interesting, right? So again, we're talking wealthy, powerful people, royal family members. And so you, me, I would like to know who these people are. If you are abusing women, especially underage ones, but really any age, if you are abusing women and children, I don't care how much money you're worth or how powerful you are, I believe you should be brought to justice just the same way anyone would. And so we're very interested in that Epstein list. Now, Kash Patel, head of the FBI, gave a little update on it.
Did Jeffrey Epstein himself, or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Kash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims.
Okay. Well, that was about as non-committal can get. So what's at play here? Is Kash Patel using his role at the FBI to protect evil, powerful sex traffickers? I doubt that very much. That's not his reputation. I don't know Kash Patel, but he has an excellent reputation. I doubt that. So what's really at play? Are they really protecting victims? Maybe. Do keep in mind, it's a very, very dangerous thing to have damaging information on wealthy, powerful men. It can be very hazardous to your health, as you are well aware. Maybe they are protecting victims. Maybe the wealthy, powerful men who are about to be exposed, possibly, maybe they have outstanding $1,000 an hour attorneys who are mucking up the whole process. Maybe. Maybe there are people on that list who didn't commit any crimes or necessarily do anything wrong. Remember, this was a billionaire financier with a private jet. Somebody came to you with a potential business deal and said, I'll send my private jet along. Would you hop on? Would you do all the vetting of him first? Probably not. I don't know that I would. You offer me a private jet. Maybe somebody rode on that jet who didn't do anything wrong, didn't touch anybody, didn't hurt anyone. I don't know. Now, I don't know. But I guess that's the point of this entire conversation when it comes to the system and the swamp. And there are many, many, many things we don't know, things we want to know. Some things we'll never know, but here's what we do know. We know that the corruption of Washington, D.C. is years and years and years in the making. We have a bad knot to untie, and electing Donald Trump for 4 more years is not going to get the job done. It helps. It's a lot better than electing Dome. It helps. But even if he was perfect, and he's not, and nobody is, but even if he was perfect, you can't undo decades of Washington, D.C. corruption walking in there for your final 4 years of president. That's not how it works at all. Remember Ed Martin? This was a story from last week, but it's kind of a big deal. The U.S. attorney, the D.C. court system is one of the most evil court systems on planet Earth. I am not overstating that at all. I don't care where you go, North Korea, Russia, Iran. I don't know that you can find a more biased, evil court system than the one in Washington, D.C. That court system is the reason all these nonviolent January 6ers were charged with things like terrorism and thrown in cages, because you can convict any Republican of anything there. You can't get a Democrat conviction because they're all communists, and you can convict a Republican of anything, of spitting on the sidewalk. They'll throw them in prison there. And that D.C. court system, it is, in many ways, the enforcement arm and protectorate of the swamp. So Trump wanted Ed Martin. Ed Martin's a good man. We've interviewed him here on this show before. Ed Martin wanted to drain the swamp. Tom Tillis, Republican senator, stopped it, stopped Ed Martin. So Trump came out last week, he said this.
He wasn't getting the support from people that I thought. He's done a very good job. Crime is down 25% in D.C. During his period of time. I'm very disappointed in that, but I have so many different things that I'm doing now with the trade. I'm one person. I can only I can only lift that little phone so many times in a day. But we have somebody else that will be great. I just want to say Ed is unbelievable, and hopefully we can bring him into whether it's DOJ or whatever, in some capacity, because really outstanding. To me, it was disappointing, I'll be honest. I have to be straight. I was disappointed. A lot of people were disappointed, but that's the way it works sometimes.
Now, when Donald Trump made those comments last week, I felt then, and I do feel now, it's not that I've changed my mind, a bit of frustration with that tone, and this is what I mean by that. Donald Trump is not afraid to crucify anybody publicly if they anger him. He'll go on social media and call an actress fat and stupid. I mean, Donald Trump will blast away at anybody. Donald Trump bounced Bob Good from Congress, one of the most conservative members of Congress. Primaried him, gone. Has publicly threatened Chip Roy, Thomas Massie with primaries for opposing spending bills. Donald Trump will come after you, left, right, middle. Tom Tillis, Republican senator from North Carolina, single-handedly, pretty much, in conjunction with Democrats, but really single-handedly stopped Donald Trump's pick for U.S. Attorney of D.C. Trump gets on there and kind of well, I was disappointed, like my son brought home a B in math or something like that. Well, I'm disappointed. And so I was frustrated by that. But the more I listened to it a couple of times more over the weekend. You know what I heard there? Actually, I'm gonna ask the producer to play that clip again here in just 1 second when I call for it. But you know what I heard here? I heard a man that maybe in a tired moment, an honest moment, I heard a man who's exhausted trying to untie the knot.
He wasn't getting the support from people that I thought. He's done a very good job. Crime is down 25% in D.C. During his period of time. I'm very disappointed in that, but I have so many different things that I'm doing now with the trade. I'm one person. I can only lift that little phone so many times in a day. But we have somebody else that will be great. I just want to say Ed is unbelievable, and hopefully we can bring him into, whether it's DOJ or whatever, in some capacity, because really outstanding. To me, it was disappointing, I'll be honest. I have to be straight. I was disappointed. A lot of people were disappointed, but that's the way it works sometimes.
I'm only one man. I can only pick up the phone. I was just disappointed. Sounds like a guy who's exhausted. And that brings us to Congress. Here's a little fun stat came out. This GOP, remember, the GOP controls the House and the Senate. They've sent fewer bills to the White House to be signed than any Congress in 7 decades. 70 years. 70 years. It was the Korean War since we had a Congress that did this little. It's exhausting. Where's the rest of our help? But it goes to the point that I really want to make here. A point we've made many times before. We still have a lot of work to do, and we can get it done, but it's not going to be fast. It's not going to be easy. There are Democrats filling up the swamp. Remember what Chip Roy told us last week? There are Republicans protecting the swamp. So the Republicans saying they won't repeal the IRA, they're just Republicans getting fat federal checks for their district, right?
That's exactly right. And so to be clear, the CBO said that we could save about $750 billion. Right now, I'm being told that they're going to find $400 billion in savings. You know what that really means is $350 billion are a bunch of hey, I need to bring home the checks to my corn states, or let me be fair, there are Texans. Oh, we have oil and gas companies that wanted their free money too. I don't mind walking into Houston, where you are, or going out to Midland or in Austin and walking into the boardrooms and saying, guys, I am opposing the subsidies that you're taking on the back of your children and my children and our grandchildren. I have no problem telling Texans that. We should not be doing that and selling out the future of our country to walk into rooms and say, oh, we're bringing home your free subsidies. They're not free. They're killing our country.
There's a lot of people protecting the swamp. One final example of this. You saw all the video last week of the Democrat members of Congress assaulting federal agents at an ICE facility, assaulting federal agents in an attempt to break out illegals who were being held inside. You saw all that. Now, that's a felony. If you walked up to a federal agent guarding an ICE facility and if you so much as laid a finger on them, you would be charged with a felony. If you shoved one, elbowed one, as Democrats did on camera, honestly, even if you didn't have a criminal record, that's probably 10 years, you're gone. You'll be saying hello to your wife and children through prison glass for 10 years. Those Democrats should all have already been arrested, charged with felonies, on the way to prison, lawyering up. Republicans in D.C., Michael McCaul, this is how committed they are.
I'm just curious, should ICE be arresting or even threatening to arrest members of Congress?
I mean, that's obviously a very drastic move. I would only do that if they were complicit with a crime. I don't know all the facts behind this. If they were just visiting a detention center, I've done that many times. If they're disrupting law enforcement, that's another question. So, we can peacefully protest in this country, but you cannot be complicit with gang violence against our law enforcement. And I think perhaps that's what it comes down to. And if I could just add one last thing on the Gaza.
Well, with a stance like that, you see, we got a lot of work to do on the knot. It won't be fast. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.